is the only thing that you seem to know. And you thought that you'd be safe in your tower, insulated from the people below. But the truth has undermined your foundation, with so many people now in the know. Yeah, we're learning, folks. Get away from the ones you betrayed, who raised their voices to say you won't be trusted anymore. All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great big beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It's Friday, finally, TGIF. It's the 24th of October, 2025, and these are the WTF reports. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist, and I'm glad to be here. Yeah, I'm sorry I wasn't here yesterday. We had an internet outage in the area, and there was no coverage for the better part of all the business hours, from about 8 o'clock in the morning until about 5 o'clock in the evening. So unfortunately, we had to do a replay yesterday. But we've got service today, so I'm back on the air. And I got to say, folks, there's no joy in I told you so for either party. Yep, and I'm not here to toot my own horn, but I mean, let's face it, folks. You know, we have tons of social media now. We have the internet, and of course, there's TikTok, Instagram, X or Twitter, Facebook, Truth Social. There's all kinds of social media platforms out there that weren't out there 20 years ago. Or 25 years ago. So how did alternative news get out there all those years ago? Well, there were a few pirate radio stations. I mean, some people would pick up an alternative feed from a satellite, and there were some small networks that were throwing signals up there. I remember, back at, I guess it was 95, there was a little network called the Eagle Radio Network. And they were centered out of New Hampshire. I went up to visit the, I can't remember his name, but he had a great big uploading dish in his backyard, and he would upload to the satellite. And this is back when people had, this is before the dish, dish networks, those little dishes everybody has now. Remember the great big C-band dishes? Yeah, a lot of people had those, and with those you could pick up all kinds of alternative feeds. But anyway, how did the alternative news get out there? It got out there from pirate radio stations with micro broadcasters. It got out there with shortwave radio. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, when I was doing the Power Hour, we were on WWCR and WHRI. So our message was getting out worldwide on shortwave radio, but not too many people were listening to shortwave way back then. And but anyway, the point is that 25 years ago, I was on the front lines with alternative news. Joyce Riley and myself, we were doing the Power Hour radio show on the GCN network. Of course, that's the same network that was carrying Alex Jones way back when. Yeah, the T-Rex of alternative news. I guess that was something that he called himself. But that's how alternative information was getting out there. And I remember I was on the air the morning of September 11th, 2001, and it was a horrendous day of broadcasting. And I've gone through this numerous times. For those of you who have seen the documentary 9/11 in Plain Sight, and of course the sequel, which is called 9/11 Ripple Effect, you can see them both if you go to my website, davevonKleist.com, and click on the 9/11 button. It'll take you to an area where you can see both of those documentaries. And again, there's no joy in I told you so for either party. And I wanted to touch upon this because it's just now people are starting to really put the puzzle pieces together. As a matter of fact, there was a guy that was talking about this. Let me see if I can pull this clip up. Yeah, here it is. Okay, this is about 2 minutes. And this guy put together some of the puzzle pieces that I was talking about years and years ago, almost a quarter century ago. And, let's just walk it through, okay? Way back when, in the 90s, okay, how big of a threat was there for World War? Okay, I mean, the big superpowers, of course, is the United States, China, and Russia. Okay, now Russia was recovering from its collapse, if you recall. The USSR had collapsed, and they were economically broken. And China, our biggest trading partner, well, there was no threat of war there. So the military-industrial complex, I mean, let's face it, they're in business. So ask yourself, how financially secure were they feeling at that time with no threat of major conflict? So let's put that on the back burner, okay? So the military-industrial complex was on the ropes. Okay, well, not necessarily on the ropes, but, they lust for war. I mean, shik-shing, that's where their money comes from, shik-shing. So, put that on one burner, okay? Now, we also have to take a look at the Port Authority in New York City, who owned the World Trade Center. Well, the EPA went to the Port Authority and said, hey, you guys have a real problem because those towers are loaded with asbestos, and you've got to clean that up. It has to be stripped. And that would have cost billions of dollars to strip, because you can't go in there and say, okay, we're going to take 10 floors, we're going to strip them down and remove the asbestos. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to do the entire building at the same time, okay? And if you're going to strip the entire building and take sand blasters and blast all that asbestos off of the girders, that asbestos is going to go all over Wall Street. Not good. So they were stuck between a rock and a hard place, all right? So, number one, there's no threat of war. Number two, we've got the Port Authority that has to deal with the EPA and how they're going to get rid of this asbestos. What are they going to do? Well, no threat of war, and they got to get rid of these buildings, and you can't, strip them down. How do we solve this problem? Well, how about we have a terrorist attack? Yeah, that would work. Nobody here in the States gets blamed. So, and by the way, Larry Silverstein, yeah, remember that guy? Yeah, he purchased them and then he had them insured for twice the amount of their value for a terrorist attack. Anyway, I talked about this 20-odd years ago, and lo and behold, let me see, a guy named Ted Logan posted this on X. Listen to this.
This man is named Larry Silverstein, and he is both the dumbest and the luckiest businessman in the world. He's the stupidest businessman in the world because 6 weeks before 9/11, he buys the lease to the World Trade Center. Okay? Why is that stupid? Because the World Trade Center has asbestos, like a dangerous chemical. So they had to clean or remove the asbestos. The problem is the cost of removing all that asbestos would have been more than the value of the Twin Towers.
Right.
That's kind of stupid, okay?
Told you.
Why would you lease the Twin Towers knowing that you have to put all this money into renovation, which would bankrupt you? Also, what's stupid is to have the lease, you're required to have insurance, okay? And so the insurance company says, we value the World Trade Center at $1.5 billion, okay? And Larry Silverstein says, no, it's not $1.5 billion. They are worth $3.5 billion. So he is asking to pay more insurance than he needed to. That's kind of stupid. But again, he's the luckiest man in the world because 9/11 happened, and guess what? He can now claim that 2 towers were struck, and therefore he should get twice as much as $3.55 million. He should get $7 billion. And he sued, they went to court, and he got $4.55 billion. Okay? He's also lucky because he's a workaholic, he never misses work, but that day, because of a dermatology appointment, he had to miss work. He wasn't there when 9/11 happened. The luckiest man in the world.
Yeah, the luckiest man in the world. He wasn't even there when the trade centers were hit. And he ended up with $7 billion. Okay, so he benefited greatly from the destruction of the World Trade Center. Not only that, but it gave the military-industrial complex, along with GW, a reason to go into the Middle East. They said it was the Taliban. It was Osama bin Laden. Yeah, that's what it was. And 11 of the 19 hijackers were from Arabia. Oh, I get it. So if 11 of the 19 were from Arabia, why don't we go and bomb Afghanistan? Yeah, that's what we'll do. Yeah. And isn't it funny that the Taliban had been eradicating the poppy crops. They didn't want the heroin trade there anymore. They had just about eradicated the poppy crops in Afghanistan. Well, glorioski, what do you know? They went in there, bombed Afghanistan, put in a provisional government, and the next year they had the biggest poppy crop in history. Told you so. Anyway, like I said, there's no joy in I told you so for either party. But I just wanted to revisit that because, if people don't start listening to us conspiracy theorists, we're going to keep on getting screwed, okay? And I'm going to ask, I have a riddle for you, okay? And if you think you have the answer, I'd love to hear from you. The phone number here is 215-867-8255, okay? Now, here's the riddle. 109 countries. I'd like to know when. It's 110. If you know, you know. Okay? That's all. Those are the only clues I'm going to give you. All right? You figure it out. So, if you think you know, you can give me a call. 215-867-8255. Okay. Now, I got a couple subjects I want to touch upon. Let's see. A lot of folks now are taking a good, hard look at the DNA of the people who are calling themselves Jews, okay, in Israel. Let me see, where is it? There's a couple people, and you've heard yours truly talking about this for quite some time. Let's see. Here it is. Give a listen to this.
So, if they have lied to us about pretty much everything, which I believe they have, what if it's the Palestinians, these guys that are getting killed by the hundreds of thousands? What if it's these guys that are some of the actual Semites? What if the majority of their blood carries the ancient Hebrew DNA? What if? Just asking questions here.
Palestinian people are indigenous to Palestine. They're the descendants of the original Jewish inhabitants of Palestine. The DNA proves this, and the archaeological record proves this. There was a study done at Johns Hopkins University that was headed up by Dr. Iran El-Haik, a Jewish-Israeli geneticist, and they found that Palestinian people's DNA matches up with the ancient Hebrews' DNA with a 97.5% match, meaning they are the descendants of the original inhabitants. They also found that Ashkenazi DNA is a mixture of Khazar people's DNA, a group of nomadic Turkic people.
Every single Israeli prime minister has a fake name. Do you know that? I was just talking about Ben Gurion. Do you know what his original name is? It's Grun. Gruen. He changed it to make it sound more Jewish and sound more Middle Eastern. Do you know what Netanyahu's real name is? It's not Netanyahu, it's Milkovsky. I swear to God, go and look it up. You'll find Milkovsky. That's his real name.
They call themselves Netanyahu, but it's just a stolen name, a Hebrew mask plastered over a European exile's face. His real name was Milikowski, born of Ashkenazi lineage from Poland.
So why, when you bring these things up, are you called anti-Semitic? Why is that a thing?
Do you accept, Dan, that you are just blatantly anti-Semitic?
Look, I have an issue with that term. I think the real Semites are the Palestinians. The DNA tests that they've done on the Israelis that are living over there, they're Eastern European Ashkenazi Jews. I don't even think they're actual Semites. They don't have ancient Hebrew DNA, which is why DNA testing is illegal in Israel.
So hold on a second, everybody. Is it really illegal?
Yes, it is.
For the common citizen in Israel to go get a DNA test? And why? Weird.
Yeah.
So what if, are you still with me here? What if it was the Ashkenazi Jews that made up the term anti-Semitic? What if? You've heard of projection, right? And what if it was guys like this who are the true anti-Semite?
Yeah, he's showing a picture of Bibi Netanyahu. Isn't that interesting? I hate to say it, folks, but I told you so. I've been broadcasting this for how long now? What, past year and a half? Something like that. So you folks out there that keep on doubting all the conspiracy theorists, I think maybe you ought to sit down and give a listen. Take some notes, do some research. And right now, and I've been talking about this for the past week, Candace Owens is taking serious heat. Oh, man, they're all over her. They are, and in doing so, a lot of these so-called patriot groups, MAGA people, supporters of Donald Trump and the America First movement, they're exposing themselves. It's the separation of the wheat and the chaff. Because they're all going after Candace Owens for doing an investigation into Charlie Kirk's murder. Now, why would they do that? Why is not TPUSA heading up the charge to get real justice? Why are they basically following right along with the narrative bouncing ball that Tyler Robinson did it? Why is it that Kash Patel came straight out and said he has to protect the prosecution? They want to prosecute Tyler Robinson. Take care of that. Turn the page. Nothing to see here. Let's move on. They don't want you looking into all the anomalies, all of the real problems, and all of the serious contradictions of Charlie Kirk's assassination. Now, why is that? Well, I got to tell you, I think more and more people are starting to realize where the power comes from in this country. And it's not coming, it's not of, by, and for the people. We already know that. I've been saying for years that the corporations have taken over this country. And by the way, when you have corporations and business running a country, that itself is a definition of fascism. So yes, we are running under, a fascist, under fascist cover right now. But we have to say who's behind that or what entities are behind that. All right? Well, I think we all know, and it's becoming very painfully obvious to the casual observers now, that there is a foreign influence on our country. Yeah, there is some other, shall we say, a foreign interest, a foreign country that's running our country. I'll give you 100 guesses. No, let me take that down a little bit. I'll give you 99. No, I'll tell you what. I'll give you one guess as to what foreign country is pushing the buttons here. All right? I think we all know where this is going. So the question is, if there is, well, let me see. I got a clip that's queued up here. If there is one foreign country that is basically running things behind the scenes, and whether it, whatever methodology that's being used to influence our elected officials, let's see, which one could it be?
Bribery, coercion, blackmail.
Yeah, which one of those could it be? Huh? Hey, Dan Bongino, have you figured out, what foreign country would benefit from the Epstein blackmail operation? Have you figured out which country that Ghislaine Maxwell and her dad, Robert Maxwell, are associated with? Have you figured that out? That one yet? Yeah, I think it's not hard to figure out. And then you take a look at all the money that's been thrown at. Let me see. Trump knows this family, the Adelsons. Who might they be? How much money have they thrown in Trump's way? How much money did Trump get from AIPAC? Last I checked, it was $230 million. So if there is a foreign entity that's been running our government, and if Charlie Kirk had been figuring all this out, and he came flat out and said, I can no longer support the Israelis, you understand why some foreign entity would benefit from silencing Charlie Kirk. And in doing so, they would also be sending a message to anyone else who dares to question their authority. Of course, this is all circumstantial. But I mean, there are some people who have been doing some serious investigation and turning up all kinds of information. And of course, they say if you're not catching flack, you're not over the target. So who's catching the most flack right now? Candace Owens. She must be onto something. A lot of people saying, oh, she's crap crazy. Don't listen to her. We have to turn our back. We have to condemn her. And, and the people who are condemning her are the ones who we thought were America first. Yeah, people within TPUSA, they're going after her big time. And you have to ask the question, why? Why don't they want an investigation done? Why are they attacking Candace Owens? Why are they attacking Ryan Matta? Why are they attacking Ian Carroll? Why are they attacking Tucker Carlson? Why are they attacking Dave Smith? Why are they attacking anybody who dares to investigate Charlie's assassination? Why don't they want that information out there? They're exposing themselves, folks. It's separating the wheat from the chaff. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, bless her heart, she's taking a lot of heat because she's standing up to that foreign influence.
How does that work? How does Laura Loomer get to be a Pentagon advisor, but you get primaried? Like, what is that?
I don't know. I've never understood why anyone takes her serious. I mean, this is a woman that can't even legally buy a gun because she had such serious mental problems. She literally posted the other day that she blew blood vessels in her eye as she was hysterically tweeting, like 40 or 50 times in one day. Who listens to a person like that? Like, right. No one should. Well, and there's only one cares about, and that's Israel. It's nonstop. Israel, nonstop demanding America pay attention to Israel, do what Israel wants, fight Israel's wars, and pay for them. And if you don't, then we're going to come after anyone and everyone that gets in the way of that. And if you're wondering why people are talking about primarying me, well, it's because I don't take any money from AIPAC. I've called for AIPAC to be registered under FARA. I've introduced amendments to defund all of our American tax dollars from going to Israel every single year. Billions and billions of dollars every single year.
Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene is going off on Laura Loomer. And I understand why. As a matter of fact, Laura Loomer, I've got an audio clip of her about 2 years ago saying that she is a proud Zionist. Once you jumped into that camp, you can't get out. So, I have some real problems with Laura Loomer and those of her ilk. And all the folks that are supporting Zionism, a lot of folks don't even know what Zionism is. They can't seem to figure out that Zionism is political dogma and Judaism is a religion. I mean, we're not talking apples and oranges here. We're talking apples and crescent wrenches. The two of them just don't go together. So until, America figures that out, everybody's screaming anti-Semitism. They hate Jews. No, they hate Zionism. They hate an apartheid regime. They hate, the fact that the Zionists are annihilating a whole group of people, regardless of what their religion is. Okay, well, you're standing up for the Muslims, Dave. Hey, look, I'm standing up for human beings. Men, women, children, doctors, journalists, everybody's being blown to bits because of October 7th. Yeah, October 7th. Well, more and more people now are starting to realize what the Hannibal Directive is and the idea that, hey, it's looking more and more and more like this was a planned operation. There was a stand-down order. Yes, Charlie, you were right. There was a stand-down order. And yes, it was an inside job. If you folks have not seen that documentary yet, I've been screaming about this for months and months. It's on Rumble. Yep. The October 7th attack was 100% an inside job. And it's out there. And you got testimony of IDF soldiers, security people, ex-Israeli officials, all in this documentary, basically saying, yeah, that's sort of what happened. And then you look at the photographs and the video footage that they took. As a matter of fact, the Apache helicopter videos were released of the Israelis firing upon their own people. And yet they deny it. And you look at the cars that were all burned out from that concert that they said that Hamas came in and killed everybody. Oh, did Hamas have direct energy weapons to melt cars? I don't think so. But anyway, it's all coming unhinged, folks. And you say, oh, Dave, you're coming unhinged. Candace Owens is coming unhinged. All those investigators are all unhinged because they're attacking Israel. Oh, I'm so sick of hearing that. Well, guess what? Wait till you hear this. This is a keeper, folks. This could be the WTF of the month. On 60 Minutes, Okay, Leslie Stahl was interviewing. Excuse me. Let me see. Where is it here? Where is it? I got it here. Where did it go? Yeah, Steve Witkoff and Aaron Kushner were being interviewed by Leslie Stahl on 60 Minutes. Now listen carefully to this conversation, and then you get ready to have your jaw drop open. You better have a drool cup. This is going to blow your mind. Listen to this. This is the WTF of the week at least. Listen up.
Well, part of the plan is the reconstruction, the rebuilding of Gaza. Mm-hmm. And you're builders. You've been in real estate. As you said, it's extremely complex. Tell us more about the plan and how much it's going to cost.
Listen.
Where's the money going to come from? And who's going to award the contracts? 3 questions.
I think it's going to cost a lot of money.
What's a lot of money?
Okay, this is Steve Witkoff speaking right now. Listen up.
The estimates are in the $50 billion range. It might be a little bit less. It might be a little bit more. I happen to think that that's not a lot of money in that region. You have governments that are going to jump on in. And
so the Middle East countries are going to provide the money.
But you'll see European participation and so forth. I think the beginning of this plan is how to get it going.
Listen.
And that's what me and Jared work on all the time. The money raising we think is the easy part. We think that happens relatively quickly, but it's the master plan, and we're working with a group of people who have been working on master plans for the last 2 years.
Whoa! Did you hear that? Did you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Caller, I've got you right there. Hold on.
Hey.
Don't go anywhere. Hold on. I'm right in the middle of this clip. I'm telling the punchline.
I know, but I can't. We can't hear it because you're double dipping on shows. We can't hear the clip.
Huh? You mean double? What
on
do you mean?
60 Minute. It's just like another show. The Thursday show clipped in. It's like right when she was interviewing on 60 Minutes, another clip from another Thursday show dominated. We couldn't hear the interview. That's
Okay.
what I called.
Are you hearing anything right now aside from my live broadcast here?
Well, I'd have to merge. That won't work very well. Let me see swap. Hold on.
We might be having a technical difficulty. Are 2 shows playing at the same time?
There's major. I can still hear it. It's kind of but it's a different show, so I'm not sure what's happening. We can't hear it. I don't know. Maybe somebody else can call in and confirm.
There are 2 shows playing at the same time?
Yeah, so right there when the 60-minute interview, at first it was fine, and then from Thursday's show kicked in, like it doubled it, like it was doubled, like double. It was kind of overriding the current show.
Okay.
And then now it's kind of going, so something's funky down there.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, just FYI, because I definitely want to hear that one of the month. My jaw's dropped, ready to hear it.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. If there's anybody else out there that's hearing that, I want to hear from you too. But I'm going to play that part of the clip.
Okay.
Just stay on the line. I'll play it. Well, you're on the phone here. Listen to this.
Okay. All the time.
All right.
The money raising we think is the easy part. We think that happens relatively quickly, but it's the master plan, and we're working with a group of people who have been working on master plans for the last 2 years.
Right there. The last 2 years. The master plan, they've been working on it for the last 2 years. What happened 2 years ago, ladies and gentlemen? The October 7th attack. In other words, the demolition of Gaza with the plan of creating a Middle Eastern Riviera has been on the table for 2 years. It was pre-planned. Okay, did you hear that clip now? Hello, on the phone. Oh, I guess she hung up. All right, I guess the caller's not there anymore. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. Maybe there's a dual feed going on. If there is, I don't know, caller, are you still there? I hate to hang up on you if you're still on the line.
No, Dave, let me merge it so you can hear it. Hold on, listen. And then I'll hang up. Listen to this.
Okay. Go ahead, merge it.
But of course, there was a total 180. But then again, we've seen a total 180 in a lot of other issues.
That's what we're hearing. I'm hearing.
Oh my
and
God!
A lot of us seen a total 180 conservatives, that are.
Okay, I had to hang up on that. Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you. Oh dear. Okay, let's see what else. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead. What do you got? Are we still having a problem listening on the online? Yeah, I guess so. All right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to put a piece of music on. That kind of stinks. That kind of stinks. Anyway, okay. Let's see here. Let me see if I can't I'll throw a song on here. Okay, I have to move this out of the way. I got to move that out of the way. And all right, let's listen to this, and I'll be right back.
Some people hate me 'cause of words that I sing. Some people hate me 'cause I'm doing my thing. Some people hate me 'cause of words that I say. That doesn't stop me, gonna say them anyway. Some people hate me 'cause of thoughts that I think. Some people hate me 'cause I don't like to drink. Some people hate me 'cause I won't live their life. Some people hate and they don't even know why. Some people hate 'cause they just won't understand. Some people just ignore the laws of the land. Some people hate 'cause they don't know how to love. Some people don't acknowledge God up above. Some people hate and say there's folks hating them, and so they vilify, coerce, and condemn. Some people hate because it's all that they know. Don't wanna hear that ye shall reap what ye sow. Some people hate because there's money to make. Their faces on TV, the action news break. Just for a moment, if they'd open their eyes, they'd understand and they could see through the lies. They demonize, they ridicule and berate. They show contempt before they examinate. They say they're righteous, but they live like a sleaze. They lie and slander and they do it with ease. It's up to us to show the others the way. Set the example, we can do that today. Show all our countrymen we've nothing to hide. We've got the Constitution on our side. Next time you're told that there are people to hate, to know your foe you must investigate. You just might find out somewhere somebody lied. You could discover that you're on the wrong side.
Yeah, you could discover you're on the wrong side. Interesting.
Sometimes we all have got to swallow our pride.
That's right. Pride and ego are the biggest obstacles.
We've got the Constitution on our side.
That's right. We got the Constitution only as long as we decide to enforce it. Simple as that. Anyway, I just made a call into the network. Can't seem to get through. So I guess that there must be some technical issue, or maybe we're being hacked or sabotaged or something. There's a conspiracy for you. Anyway, I want to get back to this clip that I was sharing with you. And I'm going to go back to this. Come on now. Where is it? I'm just going to carry on with what I was doing here. So, again, Steve Witkoff was talking about the plans for the Gaza Strip, which was going to become the Riviera of the Middle East. And, again, I'm going to play this clip, just this one little piece.
Easy part. We think that happens relatively quickly. But it's the master plan, and we're working with a group of people who have been working on master plans for the last 2 years.
So there are plans already.
We have plans already. We have a master plan already. And by the way, Jared...
By the way, I got to stop this, because when he said that, Jared Kushner looked over and he had a look of terror on his face, as if to say, Witkoff, what did you just say? What did... He said the quiet part out loud.
It's been pushing this, and we're working together on it, and I think if the world saw the progress so far, they'd be pretty impressed.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty impressed. I am pretty doggone impressed with him letting that out of the bag. Anyway, I don't know what to tell you, folks. It's all in front of your face if you're willing to look at it. And I know a lot of people just don't want to face it. Well, okay, I'm going to change gears a little bit. I'm up here in the great state of Montana, big sky country, and we just had a helicopter crash. It's been in the news, and it's really sad, but the Republican candidate for governor, Darren Bailey, he's running against Pritzker, all right? Well, his family was on that helicopter, and that's a huge tragedy. But anyway, somebody posted the following. Give a listen to this.
This is a travesty that happened to Darren Bailey. That helicopter crash that happened in Montana, that was his family, his grandkids, his son, his daughter-in-law that was on that plane. And you know, he's running for governor in Illinois against J.B. Pritzker. 2 and 2 makes what? It's not 5 with that Common Core shit. It makes 4 all day in my book. And we know who Pritzker's families are tied to. Thomas Pritzker and all them that are Hyatt hotel owner. We know what goes on through the hotels and the trafficking that happens. We're awake. And it sucks for the deep state because we're remembering. We figured it all out. Darren, many prayers to your family. I'm so sorry for your losses. And I really hope that you get this governor's job, because Illinois needs you. They really do. They need somebody to stand up, and you will. If any of you guys remember following me back a few years back, my daughter had a group called Voices of the Future, and she spoke at the school board, and she was fighting for the children too. She was using her voice at the school boards when I was fighting. To stand up to show the children that it's okay, right? We can stand up and use our voice. Darren Bailey put on a rally just for her and her friend Amelia. And he's a good dude. That's a good dude, Illinois. Good dude. And it's a travesty what happened to his family. It's got Hillary Clinton vibes. It's got deep state vibes to it. It's a shame. Keep looking for the truth.
Yeah, and we will keep looking for the truth. You know, a lot has been going on this past year. More and more people are, quote-unquote, noticing. There's that magic word again. They're starting to notice what's going on. And thanks to many of the alternative broadcasters out there who are taking all kinds of flack, are taking all kinds of hits, threats, deplatforming, insults, attacks, all that kind of stuff. Keep on going. As they say, if you're not catching flack, you're not over the target. And maybe that's one of the reasons why if this broadcast live is being corrupted, I don't know. Maybe there's somebody that's doing it. Maybe somebody's hacking into the network and destroying the audio feed. I don't know. But the point is, though, is that, yes, a lot of people around the world are noticing. And when you have a wild animal that is cornered, that wild animal is going to strike out. They're going to do anything that they can. And we may be seeing that. Now, we all know what's going on in the state of Illinois. Okay, Trump has been sending in the National Guard troops to try to clean up all the crime and, you know, all of the illegal immigrants, the MI6 and the Tren de Agua and all that other stuff, all the drugs and sex trafficking and child trafficking that's going on there. So Trump sends in the National Guard, and the mayor of Chicago, along with J.D. Pritzker, they're doing everything they can to stop Trump. And it's not just in the state of Illinois. There are many other states that are fighting it too. But the point is that they're all being pushed into a corner. And so here's this poor guy that's running for governor, Darren Bailey, and unfortunately a tragedy has taken out his son, his daughter-in-law, his grandchild. I mean, is this being played? Is this how they're playing it? And I can't help but recall back in the 90s when Joyce and I were stumping for all the veterans, not just the Gulf War veterans, but the Vietnam vets as well. And we had all the documents, the congressional reports, the Senate reports, the after-action reports from the first Gulf War, and we approached one of the senators in the state of Colorado. And Joyce said to him, look, you've got all this information. You know our troops are sick. They've been experimented upon. They've been exposed to chemicals and biologicals. Why aren't you helping them? And his response was, because I want my 15-year-old daughter to have a sweet 16th birthday party. That's how they play it. So I can't help but think, there are people out there with absolutely no morals, no scruples. They are ruthless, and they will do any and everything to maintain power or to obtain or maintain power. Does this apply to J.D. Pritzker right now? Is he feeling threatened because of this Republican candidate who's running for governor, Darren Bailey? Is this the methodology that they use to try to get him to back out of the race? I mean, is this the methodology that they're using? Is this why Charlie Kirk got taken out? And by the way, going back to this issue of Charlie Kirk, I was listening to, Jimmy Dore, and he brought up this issue about the security team. And there's a very interesting fact about this security team. As a matter of fact, I'm going to play this clip. Listen to this.
So this guy, Ian at iWenster, you see it, he says there's proof that Charlie Kirk security told local law enforcement that they didn't need to work with them, and that over a month ago, local law enforcement officers and everyone involved were already being told to stay quiet. That's a month before these official gag orders happened. So it's about a fair trial for Tyler. So just to let you know, there's a huge gag order. One of the most unprecedented gag orders in history is being put on the Charlie Kirk case. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah,
by a suspect
Utah.
judge.
Yeah, by the way, that judge was just put into power the past several months, this year. Yeah, what's his name? Graff, I think it is, or Goff? Judge Groff. And he's put a gag order on every single person who was at that rally when Charlie Kirk was assassinated.
So, how many more things can a certain powerful entity do behind the scenes to conspire before we get to call it a conspiracy?
Yeah, how many coincidences have to occur before those coincidences are no longer considered coincidences? We got a lot to sort through, folks, but we have to have the courage to do it. Anyway, okay, in another unrelated topic, the cow farts are back in the news again. Sky News was reporting the following. Oh, gosh, listen to this.
What on earth is your problem with cows?
They produce an awful lot of methane, and that is a problem because it is a big contributor to human-caused global warming, but it is also an opportunity for making a rapid difference to the amount of pressure there is in the atmosphere that's driving up the global heat. And that is why we're talking about cows. So methane has accounted for about 30% of all the global warming from human emissions.
Yeah, because I commonly associate global warming with CO2, carbon dioxide.
Yeah, absolutely right. But methane is that other greenhouse gas.
I got to stop it for a second because I can smell the BS from here. I can it's wafting through the room here, almost like a blue gas, curling my nose hairs.
And livestock account for about a third of all the methane emissions, almost as much as leaks from the fossil fuel industry. So this is a big opportunity. Let's look at it. So it's a big problem. So it's about 80 times the heating power of carbon dioxide. So methane causes a huge problem once it's in the atmosphere.
Okay, so they're basically throwing the cow fart card on the table again. And they're screaming that we have to do something about all this carbon dioxide. Oh yeah, you got a carbon footprint. That's why they want to have a digital currency so they can measure your carbon imprint or footprint and then basically give you tokens or privileges based upon your compliance. But this whole thing is horse hockey. It's bull crap. Now, I don't want to, they're talking about cow farts. I'm talking about BS, okay? So the point is, though, is that they're so on getting rid of anything that's going to contribute to global warming. And of course, they're saying cow flatulence is a big problem. And of course, Al Gore has been screaming about this now for over 20 years. He was almost losing his cookies at the Council on Foreign Relations in the following rant. Listen to this.
As the Secretary General said in his brilliant speech earlier today, we are not winning. The crisis is still getting worse faster than we are deploying these solutions, and we need to make changes quickly. Emissions are still going up. All these promises of the last few years to cut emissions are still going up. When are we going to bring these emissions down?
More passion. Give it up.
And just to put the science in a slightly different context.
Yeah, listen. What?
People are familiar with that thin blue line that the astronauts bring back in their pictures from space.
Yeah.
That's the part of the atmosphere that has oxygen, the troposphere, and it's only 5 to 7 kilometers thick.
Okay.
That's what we're using as an open sewer.
Uh-huh.
If you could drive a car straight up in the air at interstate highway speeds, you'd get to the top of that blue line in 5 minutes. And all the greenhouse gas pollution would be below you. We're still putting 162 million tons into it every single day. And the accumulated amount is now trapping as much extra heat as would be released by 600,000 Hiroshima-class atomic bombs exploding every single day on the Earth. That's what's boiling the oceans.
Oh, what's boiling the oceans? Boiling them. Okay, yeah, I think I've seen that.
Creating these atmospheric rivers and the rain bombs and sucking the moisture out of the land and creating the droughts and melting the ice and raising the sea level and causing these waves of climate refugees predicted to reach...
Raising the sea levels? Where? You've been screaming about this for over a quarter century. Where have the sea levels risen? They haven't. And as far as the receding ice, no, I'm sorry. No, we've got 200 billion tons more ice this year on the polar caps than we did last year. So this is hysteria. They're trying to invoke hysteria into the global population so that you'll go along with this digital ID, this basically digital prison that they're setting up for you. And again, they're screaming about the carbon dioxide. Oh gosh, there's too much carbon dioxide. We got to cut down the carbon footprint. Wait a minute. I remember in grade school that we were told that there's this process that plants have. It's called photosynthesis. And that photosynthesis relies upon the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. You see, we mammals, we breathe oxygen. And we exhale carbon dioxide. And all the plants, all the trees, they breathe the carbon dioxide and give us oxygen. That sounds like a symbiotic relationship. We both benefit. So what's their solution? Well, Bill Gates wants to cut down all the trees. That'll help. Right. And as far as, Al Gore screaming about the pollution, I'll be the first one to agree with you. Yeah, we polluted our rivers, we were polluting the water, polluting air. Yeah, I get it. Why? That's because the Rockefeller mentality has forced the entire world into quote-unquote fossil fuels. And we know that oil is not fossil anymore. It's a natural product of the earth. But that's aside from the point. That's another topic altogether. The point is, though, is that if they would release the hidden, suppressed technologies, all of these problems would be solved. You wouldn't need big oil. You wouldn't need big gas. You wouldn't need coal. You wouldn't need, solar panels or nuclear. If they were to release the zero-point energy, and yes, it does exist. Oh, that's no such thing. Yes, there is. If you don't think that there's any such thing as ether and zero point, raise your hand, nice and high, slap yourself with it. And then there's the Stan Meyer technology, and I met Stan Meyer a few months before he was offed. Yeah, he built a car that was running on water, and he went from coast to coast on 22 gallons of water. He was burning hydrogen and letting off oxygen as exhaust. Oh, there's a real problem. And then there's the magnet motors. I've seen those work too. There are plenty of alternatives that will solve the world's energy problems, but the Rockefeller mentality and the huge multinational, international corporations have been deep-sixing all these technologies for 100 years. And there's a documentary that Dr. Stephen Greer put out. I highly recommend it. It's called The Lost Century, and you could see it for free. All you got to do is do a search for The Lost Century, Dr. Stephen Greer. Watch that documentary. You'll figure it out. This is not rocket science, folks. It's not hard. So anyway, and there's, we're just seeing how much time we've only got a few minutes left of the broadcast. So, what's the solution that they have? Well, they want to eliminate a huge portion of the population because so many of us are just useless eaters. So, and there's a plan for that too. As a matter of fact, I got a clip here. I listen to this. If you're of retirement age, you might want to perk up your ears and listen to this because they got a plan just for you.
The U.S. government is quite aware that they're basically bankrupt, they're insolvent, and they can't keep this game going much longer. And if you actually even look in their documents, like this is from the federal government budget for 2024, on page 180, if Americans die younger, the U.S. government can save $5.1 trillion. If they live longer, the deficit gets worse. Now ask yourself, why is our food filled with hormone disruptors and carcinogens? Why are kids getting over 88 vaccine doses by age 18? Why is the sky sprayed with heavy metals? Why is the water loaded with fluoride and microplastics? Why did they force an mRNA shot on the entire world with zero long-term safety data? Because this was never about health. It was always about fiscal survival through depopulation. They don't want you healthy. They need you sick and dead by 65. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is an accounting strategy. The conspiracy isn't that they're trying to kill us. The conspiracy is that they wrote it down and you weren't supposed to notice. Yet they're literally trying to kill everybody. Like the whole Trump regime, all of them.
Yeah, the guy's not wrong. He's not wrong. I mean, and literally it was etched in stone in the Georgia Guidestones that were erected back in 1980, I think it was. And it was only 2 years ago that somebody blew them up. But the number one tenet, and it was in 8 different languages at this monument, if you will, the number one tenet said, and I quote, maintain humanity at no more than 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Yeah, 500 million people. So the current population is what, about 8 billion? A little bit over that? So what are we going to do with 7.5 billion people? Got to do something with all of these useless eaters. So that's sort of the plan. Now, okay, one more thing. I only got about a minute left. I was looking online. I was listening to Steve Gardner, Tony. I can't remember Tony's last name. But he drew to our attention the Chinese got a photograph from their space telescopes of this 3-eye atlas. And I got to tell you, folks, again, this thing is huge. There's estimated anywhere between 8 and 11 miles long. It's like the size of the island of Manhattan. And this thing has altered its course, its trajectory, its speed, and the latest photographs, which NASA, all of a sudden their live feed just went blank, but the Chinese put out a little bit of a video of it, and this thing looks like it's got lights on it. I mean, they're going on and off. It looks, what would Manhattan Island look like if it was floating through space at night with all the lights on? That's sort of what this thing looks like. A city. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. I forgot to push this button. All right. It's been a weird day today. I don't know whether we're getting hacked or sabotaged or what, but that's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you appreciate it, please click like, share, subscribe, and spread it through the word of mouth and do business with our advertisers. You might want to make a donation to help keep this program on the air. That said, the weekend is now upon us. I hope you can all stay safe, stay free. God bless you all. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. God bless you all. Keep the faith, folks.